Hi, my name is Phiona Okumu, and I am the head of music for Spotify in Sub-Saharan Africa. My role at Spotify is to lead the music strategy, or the strategy for the music business, to establish our presence as Spotify on the continent. And now with the onset of streaming, we're starting to see African music trending in a way that it hasn't before. So we're seeing artists like Black Coffee taking Grammys and being recognized at the highest level of the music industry. We're seeing artists like Burna Boy coming home with Grammys. I just remember a couple weeks ago seeing Thames accepting BET Award for the Best International Artist. And just to think that just 3 years ago, Thames was pretty much starting up. At Spotify, we had kind of included her in our Radar program, which is a program for accelerating new artists. And so for me, I think the biggest thing that continues to supercharge our industry is the onset of streaming. So where before it was so difficult for any artist to break through, let alone artists from this continent, now we just have almost a much more level playing field, and the odds of a new artist from this continent being discovered is as good as any other, which is something that is really exciting to see. There's a certain boldness that the new generation of African artists are moving with. Things like Amapiano, which for the longest time, that was the sound of just the township, and it only belonged to us in South Africa. And now we're starting to see that take resonance abroad. We're seeing drill, which is actually a UK genre, mushroom up in different parts of the world. Ghana, for example, has taken the genre and made it its own, and even is birthing actual stars out of that scene. Artists like Black Sherif, for example, he's kind of soaring to newer heights, which was something that was almost unheard of 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So the trend is that I think the new generation of music is a lot more fluid, it's a lot more porous, there's a lot more fusion happening between West Africa and South Africa, which we didn't previously see. And one thing about music and culture is that when you see cultures fuse authentically and really kind of push the best of each other forward, then you get amazing results. And I think that that's the energy that we're witnessing right now has to do with that kind of cross-cultural collaboration across the continent. So we had a billboard in celebration just supporting Kabza De Small, who is potentially the most streamed artist from South Africa on Spotify right now. That billboard was erected in New York Times Square. Now, if you look at that image, you'll see him wearing on his wrist the isipantla, which is traditional bracelet. So powerful an image. Like, there's a new generation of artists who don't actually really care what the norms and conventions of the mainstream music business are. They're really here to show you who they are, with these identities which they are defining for themselves, and it is just so refreshing to see. I think that's part of the reason why Amapiano is taking off so well. It's so authentically South African, but it's so undeniably joyful, and brings just so much happiness to people's spirits. It's something to celebrate. This playlist that I created, which is called Who No No Go No, which is a title of a Fela Kuti song, and if you have to do like a loose translation of it, it means if you don't know now, you're about to know. It's quite self-assured, right? There's no asking for permission in that statement. It's like you're gonna know whether you like it or not. And this is a general sense that I get from young people making music today. They're doing things in their own way. Another artist that I have on this playlist, his name is Cruel Santino, and he is almost a leading figure on a scene called the Alte movement in Nigeria. I think it was kind of formulated to create not a separation, but a distinction between what was mainstream popular, which is the Afro beats that we know of, and then creating that space for other types of genres to be able to kind of develop and mushroom and grow into these different things, which you can hear the influences are R&B and dancehall and hip hop and drill, all of these things, which in another life and not so long ago, we were told that in order to express Africanness, you know, you had to beat on drums and wear skins and what have you. But these kids are saying, you know, we have R&B that we make from our own hearts and souls, and we have all of these influences, and we are able to make something super fresh. Another artist that I really love that's on there is Lady Donley, also a Nigerian artist. And with her, I think I really love how strong she is in her feminism and her expression of being a woman in this industry. So she actually plays with a band and is very much into the live band culture, which is not something that is necessarily that popular today, because, you know, the way music is, auto-tune rules everything, and it's you know, it's not everybody that's running with a band. So I quite like that for her to be like, well, I quite like this tradition. So she loves high life and juju, and that music really comes across in her influences. So check out the playlist on Spotify. I hope you enjoy it.